What's good? What's good? It's your boy Micah back at it again with another video. Today we're going to talk about the Qlippoth and how it relates to Necromancy. Before we talk about that, we need to talk about the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is the Sephiroth, are the spears that hold up cosmic order on this side of reality, on this side of the veil. They're separated into 10 different spears. You got all the way from Qlippoth, which represents our physical world, and the metaphysical world we live in. You got Yesod, Hod, freaking Chesed, Netjak, and all the other ones that represent various levels of reality and various portals that maintain cosmic order, so to speak. This is a good thing, in the sense that we have a solid way of how the matrix in the universe functions. However, this is also not good because this cosmic order can turn tyrannous or tyrannical and hinder spiritual growth. This is why you see many different black magicians trying to do work to fucking open up gateways to the Qlippoth and fucking break down the Sephirotic tree and all that other fuckery, because that's exactly what it is. There are beings that guard the Tree of Life. It's very similar to how an angel was placed in biblical times to guard the fucking Tree of Life that was in the fucking garden, right? It's a metaphorical principle. This tree cannot be fucking broken down by normal human means, regardless of what black magicians fucking do. It's there for a reason. It prevents this entire fucking universe from collapsing upon itself and descending into absolute chaos. Now, with that explained, the Qlippoth is not the counterpart to the Tree of Life. It is not the dark side of the tree or some other bullshit some other magician said. The Qlippoth is an entirely separate tree that represents the things on the other side of reality, on the other side of the veil. It represents the breaking down of the matrix, so to speak. It represents breaking the cosmic chains that hold this universe together, that restrain spiritual growth. It's not simply about destroying the fucking universe and shit. It's not about that. It's simply about being precise and being selective about what you destroy with the Qlippoth. That way the universe can still maintain its shit and you can still ascend and grow spiritually without having those limitations placed upon you. I'm going to say that again. The working with the Qlippoth, or the Qlippoth itself, is not about destroying the entire fucking Sephirotic tree and thus the universe. It's about being selective and precise about what chains you do break and what you do break off of the Sephiroth, so that therefore you can continue to grow as a black magician, and also the universe can continue doing this fucking thing. Understandable? Now, in the Qlippoth, you have various spears, so to speak, that house various legions of demonic entities and spirits of the dead. These can vary, and they're normally categorized per planet, so to speak, as each planet has its own Qlippothic spear, and each planet has its own Sephirotic spear. However, we're going to look past that, because the thing is, the Qlippoth exists on a multi-dimensional level. It is interdimensional. What do I mean by interdimensional? I mean that this Qlippoth that we have in our plane is not the only Qlippoth that exists. There are Qlippothic trees of other universes. I remember showing this to one of my students, and these Qlippothic trees can be accessed through specific magical experiences. One of the most basic magical experiences to access these other trees is the experience of killing another human being with magic, i.e. death magic, baneful magic, that kind of thing. Another requirement, if you look at the Qlippothic spear of Venus, so to speak, is breaking another human being's will and making them love you with magic. And yes, it is possible to do that. Very fucking possible. On that note, I don't know why so many fucking self-proclaimed black magicians are so taboo about love magic. Like, bruh, you're a black magician. You're supposed to break wills here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that fucking big of a deal. But anyways, when you're working with the Qlippoth, you will work with these dimensional demonic forces that will break down and reconstitute the vibrations of your energy body, your mind, soul, and spirit, so you can go further into that current. This is commonly seen with stuff like Black Magic of Ahriman by Curtis Joseph. He even states in there that when you're doing Black Magic of Ahriman, you're breaking down the color vibrations of the chakras and pulling them and assimilating them all back into one. It's the same principle with the Qlippoth, just in a different context. Initiating into the Qlippoth is not as simple as saying a bunch of fucking chants that you get from another well-known magician who I'm not gonna name, and then going through a little bit of bullshit trials, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in the Qlippoth. No, it does not work like that. You initiate into it by doing the actual work, contacting the Qlippothic demons of those spheres, i.e. the Qlippothic aspects of Lilith, Satan, Belphegor, fucking Lucifuge, you know what I'm saying? And doing the work. What this will do is that as you go through the sphere, you'll be armed with various spells, rituals, incantations, gnosis, skills, etc., which then initiate trials for you to use those same skills to overcome. By doing this, you break the cosmic chains that limit you and keep you enslaved to this material world, thus allowing your focus to expand and increase so you can focus on your spiritual growth more, not having to be worried about mundane shit all the time. For example, if you have problems in your love life or whatever, you'll learn how to summon and conjure love for yourself. By doing this, you break the chains that prevented you from having that in the first place. You break that domination off of your focus, off of your mind, off of your spirit, etc. So now you have love, you have the skills, knowledge, and shit necessary to summon it from wherever. And now you're also free energetically to focus more on your path working. Makes sense? Same thing for money and finances. Now don't get me wrong, the Qlippoth will challenge you. Like, you will go through some fucked up shit. Like, holy shit, man. Everything gets really fucking intense when you're doing it. But that's the benefit. You gain more power that way. You gain more knowledge. You become really rough around the fucking edges. You start to see reality for what it is, and you adapt accordingly. The good thing about the Qlippoth is that the growth you attain by going through it never ends. You can get all the way to Thamiel, feel like you're a god and all this other kind of shit, and then you go back down and start all over again, and you get even more knowledge, even more skills, even more abilities, even more incantations, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit is fucking insane. But in context of necromancy, you want to look to the Qlippothic spear of Saturn, Satariel, for this, which is headed by Lucifuge Rofakel. Now, what you'll learn is different ways of working with the dead. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is not directly utilizing death essence. This is indirectly utilizing it. And the Qlippoth is a path of alchemy. So you're alchemizing your physical body, your mind, and your spirit to be a vessel of necromantic gnosis and transfiguration. This is different from just straightforward necromancy where you're working with death essence all the time in its purest form, you know what I'm saying, all this other kind of shit. So you're going to learn, since Satariel mainly deals with alchemy, you're going to learn necromantic rituals to alchemize yourself, to better facilitate the flow of death essence, to work with Undeath, to throw alchemical death curses. Alchemical death curses bring the person through a corrosive breaking down of their subtle bodies, mind, spirit, and soul, and flesh, which can then manifest as a form or variation of necrosis, because that's exactly what necrosis is. It's like a reverse alchemical process going on in the body. I mean, at least when you're doing it from the Qlippothic standpoint. When you work with the dead, you're going to basically be working with shades, demonic shades, and also shades of various humans, and also shades of failed black magicians who went through the Qlippoth and didn't do it correctly and fucking died. Because that is a very real possibility when you're working through this tree. Danger, death, and destruction can easily befall you if you don't watch your fucking step. So please keep that in mind. But anyways, you'll be working with those shades, and you'll learn how to use them to fulfill your will, and how to use them as a filter and a vessel for mass amounts of death essence. Kind of like a transformer, so to speak. You have a whole fucking network set up that you can draw on. You can even use these shades, because it's shadow and it's somewhat empty, but therefore it can store things. You can use these shades to feed death curses into that were sent your way, or any other kind of curse. Keep it, harbor it for later, and then send it back out on the target. You know what I'm saying? You learn so much going through this shit. So, you'll also learn how to reverse the tides of death sent your way, whether you come across them naturally, i.e. you get a disease, or a loved one gets a disease and you see that their health is failing. You'll have the knowledge to reverse that shit, and you'll also have the knowledge to pretty much control a small portion of the tides of death and the waters of death which are directed your way. You'll learn how to swim and navigate through that shit, so to speak. So, with that being said, I'm going to basically conclude the video. One last thing I'm going to say is Undeath. There's a different way of working with Undeath when you go into the Qlippoth, especially when you reach Thaumiel and you go past that into the Vaults of Zen. By the way, Liber Anorexias, I hope I'm pronouncing that shit correctly, but by Chris Page and Austin Blackstone. That shit is fucking real. That shit is legit as hell. I recommend you work through that shit. It kind of goes a little bit into truly forbidden necromancy, and working with those beings and all that kind of stuff. But when you get to the outer planets in the Qlippoth, i.e. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, you're gonna come across some real shit. Like, playtime is over at that point. But it's a good thing for us necromancers, because we'll be able to transmute the flesh to the point to where we're able to truly thrive off of these deathly energies and wield devastating fucking power. So, I'm going to conclude this video. Hope it was helpful for you. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll leave my links down below if you want to get into contact with me, or if you want to get work from me. So, stay safe out here, and until next time, peace.